Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Rusty Tryon. I'm the director of the Rooney Library here at St. Mary of the Woods College. Over the next few minutes, I want to just share with you some approaches that you can take for completing your research-based assignments for BU 482, Research in Business. So one of the first things you should do when it comes to doing these research-based assignments is to carefully look over your assignment instructions and make sure that you fully understand what it is that is being asked of you to do, not only for the composition of that assignment, but also paying close attention to the types of sources that you may be required to use, just to make sure that you're addressing all of those components fully when you're completing that assignment. So to start off here, I just want to make sure that everybody knows how to get to the library's webpage. So I know there are links embedded pretty much everywhere that you come to engage with the college online. So I know there are links within Canvas, within the student portal, WoodsNet. There are links on the college's webpage under that Offices and Resources menu at the very top of the page. You'll find a link to Rooney Library. And we also have a very friendly URL, which is simply library.smwc.edu, which will bring you right back to this page. And if all else fails, you can Google SMWC Library, and the very first link that shows up should bring you to the library's webpage. So one of the most important things to remember when it comes to doing library-based research is to be very intentional about where you're conducting your searching. And I always encourage students to be discipline specific when they can be, to really make things a lot easier, to eliminate a lot of information noise. And so with that in mind, what we're going to do is scroll down on this page just a bit to that databases link. And that just opens up for us a list of all the databases that are available to us. And one of the things that you can do is you can filter this list by subjects. And so we'll find the business descriptor, and that filters this list down to us for us to these databases that are really targeted on business information. And so you can go through this list and kind of identify some databases that you think would be particularly helpful to you as you complete this particular assignment for this course. I'm going to go ahead and click on Business Source Ultimate to get us in here. And one of the nice features about this particular database is that because it's on this shared interface with other databases, we can actually select and search multiple business databases at the same time. So thinking back to that list of business databases, we can come through here and select ones that we think will be most helpful to us for doing our research. So we'll click Academic Search Ultimate. I just think that's a great database. It's so robust that regardless of whatever discipline you may be searching in, that's one you should really check off every single time. EBSCO Management Collection is a business-focused database, as is Entrepreneurial Studies Source. Will include the regional business news as well as the Small Business Reference Center for the databases that we'll search. And so at the top of that box, at the bottom of that box is the OK button that we can click on. And just to confirm that we selected all the databases we want to, we can click on that Show All link at the top of this page, and it lists for us the various databases that we're now searching. So now that we're searching in the right databases, we want to insert and use appropriate keywords and terms to get us the results back that we want. So the first one we're going to input in here is drive-through. And one of the additional features of these databases is that they will give you suggestions for alternate words or related words. And so I tend to accept those in most cases. And so there's just some alternate spellings there. And in this case, I'm going to limit to the title. So this means that the word drive-through has to show up in the title of the articles that come back in my result list. And so that's going to help me to get very relevant resources very, very quickly. Now, knowing that other business types use drive-throughs besides restaurants, I'm going to limit my search to focus just on drive-through restaurants. And so I will type in restaurant, and you'll see there some suggested terms include food industry or food service, and so I'll accept those. And this time, I'm not going to select a particular field where that idea can show up. So as long as title shows up somewhere in the article, or drive-through shows up somewhere in the title of that article and it has something to do with restaurants or food industry, then that's what I'm going to accept. Um, Knowing that you're looking for, innovative uses of drive-throughs, what we want to do in this search is limit to things that have been published pretty recently. And so I'm going to limit to content that's been published since 2022. So with that in place, we'll execute this search and we get a fair number of results back. So as we scroll down through here, you can begin to get a sense of, the companies and businesses that are using drive-throughs and how they might be using them. I'm immediately drawn to number 5 here. That seems very intriguing about using AI in terms of leveraging that in drive-throughs. And so you have the full text of that article there for you to read and use. Now, one of the things that I noticed as I look through this list is that none of these appear to be academic in nature. They seem very much like trade magazines, trade publications, which is all well and good. It's still good information and much more reliable than what we might find just by searching on the web. But looking at the assignment instructions, we need to have one scholarly source. So in order to do that for this particular topic, because it's a bit unique, we're going to go back to the library's main page here. And in this area labeled Quick Search, you'll see underneath that search button is a link that's labeled Advanced Search. So we're going to click on that. And as that opens, if you ever see this yellow ribbon at the top of the page that is saying that you're a guest, go ahead and click on that just to make sure that you have full access to all the content that's available to you. So you want to make that yellow ribbon disappear. So what we're going to do in this search is we're going to replicate exactly what we did when we were searching in just those handful of databases. So we'll insert these terms of drive-through and limit that to be in the title of the article. And then we'll focus this on the particular industry, which is restaurants or food industry or food service. Again, that can show up anywhere in that result list. And so we'll leave that pretty open there. But what we want to do this time is limit to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. So essentially think of that as kind of a quality control check for academic content. And so the content that shows up in our result list has been looked over by experts in the field just to make sure that it is good quality research and a good quality product that's being issued in these particular journals. So we will execute that search. And what we're doing here is we're searching far beyond those few databases by using this particular search. And we're even looking in databases that we don't have immediate access to. But because we need those scholarly peer-reviewed journals for this particular assignment, and they're not readily available in those other databases that we searched, this is kind of a better alternative for finding those things. And so just to look at these very quickly and kind of highlight some things. So this particular article is actually from a conference proceedings, but it's still peer-reviewed. One of the things I would encourage you to look for to determine if the content is useful for what it is that you're researching is to look and see if there's an abstract. So in this case, it's labeled as description, but this is just a summary of the content of this article. And so you can quickly read through this and determine if this is useful for what it is that you're researching or not. And if it is, great, you can continue to pursue this and obtain a copy of this. In this case, we don't have it in full text, so you would want to request a copy of it through interlibrary loan. But that is a great way for you to gauge whether or not this particular article is going to be useful for you or not, because sometimes those titles are a bit misleading. And so it's good to kind of get that additional information. We'll look at article number 2 here a bit more in depth as well. So in this case, there is no summary, there's no abstract, but that's okay because we see that there is full text available. So we'll click on that PDF full text and just step through this and kind of highlight for you how we know this is a peer-reviewed article, right? So we checked that box when we did our search, so we're trusting the database that this is actually a peer-reviewed article, but there are some things that we can look at here to help us determine that as well. So when we look at the authors, we look at their credentials. These folks are affiliated with some very prestigious universities. So these are academics. These are scholars who are writing this content. And so that helps us move in the direction of accepting that is actually peer-reviewed. We also see the history down here of the peer review process. So these are kind of date stamps for the process, the editorial process this article has gone through that again assures us that it is scholarly in nature. Then as we kind of scan through the article, we'll begin to see that there are sources that are cited throughout this. So as you look through, you'll begin to see those in-text citations. Just the structure of this also helps us know it's peer-reviewed. So there's that introduction, there's the literature review, which is always a part of an academic article. There's the methodology section. There's a discussion of the results of that particular study. And then there are some recommendations and some conclusions there. And then, of course, at the very end of this, we'll see that full reference list of sources that were used and were cited throughout this particular article. So to come back to this record, I want to highlight just a couple of other features of this database that I think are very helpful and useful. So as you write your paper, you're going to have to cite all of your sources correctly in APA style. And so a lot of library databases have a button or a link that you can click on. In this particular interface, it's on the far right side, and it's this little icon with a piece of paper. It's labeled Cite. And it opens up for us in the middle of the screen this particular article formatted for any number of citation styles. So we're going to look for that APA 7, and here it is for us right here. So what we can do is copy and paste this over to our reference list, and we're well on our way to developing that reference list at the end of the paper, and we'll leverage this for those in-text citations as well. So to that end, talking about citing our sources correctly, um, also on our library page, we have a couple of unique citation guides. And so we have one for MLA and APA. We'll certainly click on the APA since that's what we're using in this particular class. And here you can come as kind of this authoritative place, authoritative source to double check those citations you're getting from library databases, because you always want to double check those to make sure that they're complete, to make sure that they're accurate, because sometimes mistakes can creep in, and you just want to be very mindful of that. Double check those citations against an authoritative source like the APA manual or this particular writing guide, which is actually based on the Writing Center's APA guide. And you'll see there's a full link to that if you really want to download that and have that for a reference. That's available to you. But then we've broken it down here into these tabs on the left-hand side so that if you just want to see, examples of how to use in-text citations, then you can click on the embedded tabs throughout here to get some idea of how you might do that when you're writing your paper. And then for your references, again, just as a place to come and look at some examples of how you would format, an academic journal article. You have there the pattern and some examples. Again, just to double check to make sure that the citation that you're pulling from that library database is complete and that it's accurate. And then back to the library's page here. I'm going to end on this section here, which is the Ask Us section. And really what I want to communicate is that as you go through your research for this particular class, but also for any other class where you're doing a research-based assignment, if you get to a point where you're struggling or you have a question, please reach out to us. That's why we're here in the library, is to help you through your research as you're doing that. And you'll see there are lots of different ways that you can connect with us. You can email, chat with us, text us, call us, come and see us in person. You can submit a question through our question form there. You can make an appointment if you want to. But the idea is that, whenever you have that question or you're struggling a bit, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to help you with that so that you can get on your way and complete this assignment in time. So I hope that was helpful. Again, if you have any questions as you're working on your assignments, please feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to help you.